What's good? What's good? It's the one and only, but what do I know? Boxing coming back at y'all with another one. So we got Canelo Alvarez and Badou Jack in the news today, or at least right now. So according to Michael Benson, who is a reliable source, it says Canelo Alvarez versus Badou Jack is now 90% agreed for Saudi Arabia. Skill Challenge Entertainment Amr Abdullah has claimed. He said weight could be an issue. Fight would be for Badou Jack's cruiserweight world title, but Canelo's team wants a catch weight. So I want to talk about it, man. You know, for one, listen, bro, I'm not gonna act like this is not a good fight, because I mean it is an interesting matchup. I'm not gonna act like it. So I'm not gonna act like it's not an interesting matchup with him and Badou Jack. But I'm also not gonna act like this is the fight that we really want. My whole thing is, what is so hard about Canelo getting a fight with David Benavidez? Now, I do understand a lot of people are gonna say that Canelo Alvarez is daring to be great, but probably Malignaggi made a valid point as far as Canelo, like with this whole daring to be great. How is it daring to be great when there's nothing on the line for Canelo? He gets the bigger share. He gets the more. His titles are not up for grabs. You know, he's moving up in weight in a division that many people define as being weak in the whole history of boxing. Now, again, Badou Jack is a decent opponent. I mean, it is a good fighter. We're not gonna act like Badou Jack is not the goods. He is the goods. But however, bro, why is like the fight to me that would make more money and be more lucrative and would actually do, and I can't say that this fight wouldn't do, because do for Canelo's career, because it gives him a chance to become a champion in 5 divisions, which is cool. I'm not mad at that at all. Like I said, I'm not finna sit here and act like this fight is not would not be an interest. It's not a good fight. But this is not the fight that we want. The fight to me that'll be a better fight will be Canelo versus David Benavidez. Now, I've known it to be some type of weird rumor to go on. A lot of the guys that are just solely riding with Canelo and against Canelo fighting Benavidez have this thing saying that David Benavidez already has a fight with David Morrell signed up, and which is definitely not true. If first and foremost, when people talk about that, well, David Benavidez just signed a 3-fight deal and they have all their opponents lined up. No, that's not true. You don't do that, because for one, if David Benavidez loses any fight, then those other fights can't be made or whatnot, right? So when they announced the PBC 3-fight deal with David Benavidez, that was a 3-fight deal for PBC. They didn't already have the opponents lined up. Otherwise, bro, they would have, after David Benavidez beat Caleb Plant, it would have already been announced that David Benavidez was fighting David Morrell. But of course, that fight has not been announced. That fight has not been signed or sealed or anything, because it's not true. And people like to run with that narrative. Now, some other people are just, they just don't know. Other people know, but they want to use that as an excuse to try to hide the fact that Canelo seems to be avoiding David Benavidez for whatever reason. All right. The fact is, David Benavidez does not have a fight solidified next. Now, it's possible that he could be fighting David Morrell, since Canelo Alvarez has seemed to turn down the $50 million offer that was proposed to Canelo. Canelo's team never reached back out to Samson Lukowicz or whatnot. They never emailed him back. So it's possible that, and honestly, like, David Benavidez is not the one that's just going to sit around and wait. So he's going to move on, which is absolutely, I salute David Benavidez for that. But as of right now, nothing has been signed, sealed, and delivered. As a matter of fact, just to deaden all this, let me go ahead and let you hear from Jose Benavidez Sr., who is talking about the possible options if Canelo chooses not to take the $50 million deal for him and David Benavidez to fight.
Man, okay, so then who, you mentioned like a list of names. Who do you think is likely for David, and when? When do you want to see David back?
You know what? I think David Morrell wants to fight David, but his trainer doesn't want to let him fight yet. Virtual Hill?
Virgil's training?
Or what's his name?
Hunter.
Virtual Hunter or something like that. Yeah.
Hunter?
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Sorry. Yeah, his trainer said that, he doesn't feel that he's ready for David. But that's a big fight. I think we should fight him next. There's Boo Boo. There's like I said, there's Jaime Munguia. I'm crossing my fingers so he can knock this guy out and look spectacular.
So just to clarify, that interview with Jose Benavidez Sr. was actually 2 days ago, and that right there solidifies everything that I just stated, and it debunks everything that the guys that claim that are making claims that David Benavidez and David Morrell already have a signed fight. That solidifies everything, because he just stated himself, yeah, he would like a fight with David Morrell next if he can't get Canelo Alvarez, but David Morrell's trainer, who is actually Ronnie Shields, he said that he feels like David Morrell is not ready for David Benavidez yet, so they're looking to make a fight with Demetrius Andrade or even Jaime Munguia. So if the fight with David Morrell versus David Benavidez was already solidified, why would they be talking about the possibilities of making a fight with David Morrell or other guys? Now, granted, like I stated with before in my previous videos, if David Benavidez cannot get a Canelo fight, then it would be a chess move for him to go ahead and fight David Morrell next, because David Morrell has the WBA regular title, and that would actually boost. That would actually trap Canelo in the corner to having to fight David Benavidez or relinquish 2 of his titles, because now David Benavidez would have the WBC interim and the regular WBA belt, which means that he would be like knocking on Canelo's door on 2 of the sanctioning bodies that Canelo holds for the belts, the WBC and the WBA. Or is it the IBL? Anyways, regardless, he will be knocking on 2 of those doors, and that would be a better chess move in order for him to get a Canelo fight. But I also wouldn't be mad at him fighting Demetrius Andrade, a guy that's been calling out Canelo Alvarez for years now. If David Benavidez fights Demetrius Andrade, that's still a good name, a big name that's on his resume as well, and I feel like David Benavidez is definitely heading in that right direction. His resume ain't top tier yet, but it's definitely heading that direction with Anthony Durrell, with Caleb Plant, with David David Lemieux. It's heading in that direction or whatnot, right? And he's definitely becoming a front runner. Well, he is the front runner to fight Canelo, in my opinion. Now, here's my thing though, bro. Canelo, the thing I'm not liking is that Canelo's talking about moving up to at first he was talking about moving up to 175 to fight Bivol, which looks like that's not gonna happen. And now he's talking about moving up to fight Badou Jack. My whole thing that always irritates me, it irritates me when people hold the titles hostage. All right, I had an issue. Jamal Charlo is one of my favorite fighters, but I have an issue with him doing that with the WBC. It's like, bro, because he's been inactive for 2 years. He's holding up a whole ranking organization. I have an issue with Keith Thurman did that. Keith Thurman did the exact same thing, bro. He was inactive for damn near the same amount of time that Jamal Charlo was inactive for, and it was holding up the whole division. And even with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, now thankfully we have the fight. The fight has been announced that we've always been waiting for. But I had an issue with them holding up the division. Like, man, y'all gonna have to do something if you ain't itching to get off the pot. And so that's what I'm having. I'm gonna hold Canelo to them same standards. Like, bro, you have all the belts, but you're not even competing in the same weight class that you hold all the titles in. So my whole thing is, bro, if you're not gonna fight David Benavidez, and it's gotta be David Benavidez. Nobody deserves to fight at 168 more so than David Benavidez, and I kind of feel like that's one of the reasons why Canelo Alvarez is trying to bounce up and down in weight divisions, because it's no way you can justify anybody getting a fight other than David Benavidez at 168. You can't justify Edgar Berlanga. You couldn't even justify John Ryder, but because that was his quote-unquote mandatory or whatnot, even though at one particular time Jamal Charlo was his mandatory, you guys say he didn't do anything. But anyways, that's a whole nother video. Because that's his quote-unquote mandatory, we'll chunk it up as that. But you can't justify Edgar Berlanga getting a title shot before Canelo Alvarez. The only person that you can possibly justify getting a title shot before David Benavidez maybe is Demetrius Andrade, but even that is I still feel like David Benavidez has a better resume than Demetrius Andrade and deserves a fight with Canelo Alvarez more so than anybody that's competing at 168. All right, but it is what it is. It doesn't look likely that Canelo will be fighting David Benavidez. I would like to hear what Canelo has to say about why he chose not to, take the offer. This is PBC's second time offering a fight with Canelo. The first time was the $75 million deal that he turned down with Jamal and David, and now this one. Let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe. But what do I know?